Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. It's Thursday. It's September 4, 2025. You probably knew that by now. It's 7 minutes after 4. I hope you knew that because I just told you. It's episode 877. It's also day 230 of Donald J. Trump's second term as President of the United States of America. I like to remind the liberals in the listening audience of this fact. 230 days out of 1,460.5. There's a lot more to go of this winning. We've got calls coming up. I've got an open question going out to all of you coming up probably about 4:35 today, and that is, if you were a moderator in the 7th Congressional District debate, what question would you ask of the candidates on the stage? Now, understanding these are not questions specific to any one candidate. The questions asked are asked to all of the candidates standing on the debate stage. So if you have a question to ask of the candidates, what would that question be? Hold off on that until about 4:35, and we'll get into that then. Right now, our very special guest in studio is Courtney Johnston. She is a City of Nashville Metro Councilor, which for some reason, those 4 words, I mix them all up every time that I mention that she's in the studio with us. But she is in Sanity Corner in the Metro Council, and that's a hard task. Hello again.
Hello.
So we've established that you're an LSU. Y'all are Bengal Tigers, is that right?
Yes.
You know? Okay. And you've been to Death Valley, and you would recommend it to all of your friends.
I just think if you're a football fan, regardless of if you're an LSU fan or an SEC at all, that stadium, especially at night, is electric. It really is special.
But if you're not wearing the right colors, they get mean to you, right?
I hope not, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I think back in the day, that was the case. I'll say Nick Saban did a lot to change that.
When he was coach of LSU?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's like, let's be nicer to our, let's root, let's celebrate, but let's not be nasty.
Yeah, he really did a lot towards that. So, is somebody going to be an idiot? I'm sure.
Was it, who was it that down in New Orleans, wasn't it at a Crystal that somebody got a body part put on their head? I feel like that was between LSU and Alabama. I want to say it was an Alabama fan doing it. Anyway, why am I looking at you, Jackson, like you took part in all of this? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Just look at it. It happened there was a Crystal on Bourbon Street, and it was either an LSU or an Alabama fan that was passed out inside of the Crystal, and the fan base of the other team decided that they would well, you look it up, and maybe it's a good nincompoop in the news for you. Anyway, let's talk about.
Yeah, that happened.
You see what you found it?
Yes.
It had something to do with tea, and dipping his tea into the old water. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
There was no sweet tea involved.
You don't know what I mean?
I'm going to make you explain it.
Uh-huh. How you dip your tea into the hot water. You got to get it steeping.
No, that's not what I'm saying, Matt.
Oh, really? Well, that's what they called it. I don't know anything else about it. One way or the other, let's move on. Courtney.
Yes.
Do we have a crime problem in Nashville?
Yeah, I think we do have a crime problem. I think we could do a better job of supporting our police department, getting the tools that they need, getting more officers on the street to handle what we need to handle. Yeah, we do. I think that's a common consensus.
I'm looking at this, and you know what? People like Senator Heidi Campbell can spin this any way she wants. She's spinning it as, quote, it's getting better. But the FBI ranked Memphis the number 1 city in the country for violent crime per capita, 2,501 violent crimes per 100,000 people. Nashville came in at number 8 with 1,124 violent crimes per 100,000 people, according to FBI data. You and I have had enough of these conversations that I feel like we know some of the tools that the Metro Nashville Police Department desperately need and want that could assist them in solving some of these crime issues, to include the FUSA system, to include the often discussed LPRs.
Yeah. All of those things, and we've discussed those ad nauseum. I think I would be remiss to not mention the failures, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people's opinion, of our judicial system as well.
Well, because we don't seem in Davidson County to take seriously some of the perpetrators of these crimes that come before these judges.
Yeah.
They get little slaps on the wrist, and they get back out on the street, and they perpetrate again.
It's a revolving door, and it's very, very frustrating, not only for the people that are being victimized, but for our officers who are working really hard and putting their lives, at risk to try to get these folks off the street, and they're out the door before the paperwork is done. And so all around, it's not good. And so, again, we should be supporting our police department more with tools, with funding, with boots on the ground. But also the judicial system has to follow up when we capture folks.
That said, yesterday we had the 5th Congressional District Representative Andy Ogles on the show. Mm-hmm. And he, on his X Machine page, seemed to directly call for the National Guard to be brought in to not just Memphis, but also Nashville. He backed off of that on my show, saying, and I said,
when you presented him with facts?
Well, like the Constitution of the United States of America as an example, right? The idea of dual sovereignty, the idea that anything not specifically addressed by the Constitution and specifically prescribed as a federal duty is left to the states and respectively to the people and all of that. And he goes, well, no, I'm not against the Constitution of the United States. I just say that we need to do more. Well, you understand that it would be Governor Bill Lee's prerogative because he's calling for the National Guard to come out. And I was like, well, the president can't do this constitutionally. I mean, I suppose he could, but it's immediately going to be challenged, and you would have to see a very real and specific emergency to override a governor. And anyway, all of that to say, it turns out that Congressman Ogles has not spoken to the governor about any of this, which I'm a little bit disappointed about. I would think that you would do that before popping off on a tweet. That said, there are plenty of ways I would suggest, long before you get to the National Guard, to deal with crime in the city of Nashville. And you're so much closer to it. I wanted to give you an opportunity to speak to that. I think it involves LPRs. It involves technology. Does it involve more officers?
Yeah, no officer would tell you that we have enough officers. Truly, I mean, we're in the process of very shortly opening the 9th precinct in the Antioch area that has been much needed for quite some time. But what that is doing is taking officers from downtown, because those officers were actually hired, those FTEs, full-time employees, were hired for the 9th precinct, designated 9th precinct. Mm-hmm. Well, but they've been working downtown until that precinct opens. Well, then what happens when you pull those officers to work in the 9th precinct? Now what are we going to do with the EDU, which is the entertainment district unit? So we're robbing Peter to pay Paul from that perspective. So yeah, we need more people. I think we could do better in our education system. I think we could do better with after-school programs to keep these kids busy and sort of stop that pipeline. There's lots of things that we could be doing that we're not doing very well. But first and foremost is law and order, and that is supporting your police department and getting them the tools that they need. That takes the place a lot of times of the people that we need, right? The tools make that. It's a force multiplier is what they call them. And those tools are effective. They've been effective. And we see it all the time. Mount Juliet it's on social media constantly that they are finding people with LPR.
They're doing incredible work with LPRs while protected. And I have a call out to the Mount Juliet Police Department because I'm hopeful to get someone on that can talk about some of the safeguards that they utilize to make sure that they're not violating the basic civil liberties of people that travel in and around the Mount Juliet area, but at the same time, incredibly effective in flagging those vehicles that have already been put into the system as wanted vehicles and catching perpetrators. Murfreesboro did as much. I mean, I think they caught a wanted murderer or kidnapper or both in Murfreesboro at a hotel over there. I mean, these are examples of what we could and ought to be doing in the city of Nashville that would eliminate some of this crime that I just talked about.
Yes.
So I want to ask the question directly. I think you're answering it indirectly, but is there a need for the National Guard to be called out in Nashville?
No.
Would you say the same about Memphis, or would you care to comment on Memphis?
I can't comment on Memphis. I haven't been to Memphis in years, and so I'm not going to speak on something that I'm uneducated around. I feel like the National Guard is just a step too far. That's not even their mission. When you look at the purpose of the National Guard from the state's perspective, it's to respond to emergencies, and it's not to assist daily policing. That's just not their job. If we had some riot, if we had some sort of specific event that was emergency that we needed backup, then that's a whole different story. And I think that Governor Lee would be all over that. And that's the correct procedure and process for that to happen, for that deployment. But beyond that, the whole thing, Mr. Ogles got what he wanted, which was the headline. And I think people are just really tired of stuff like that. It's performative. It's very shallow. And people are tired of it.
I mean, I should note that you ran against Andy Ogles in the last political primary when he was up for re-election. Do you have any regrets running against him?
No, I don't have any regrets running against him. I met some incredible people. So personally, it was really fulfilling, and I've got a lot of new friends that I really appreciate. You and
Sure.
are one of them. It was a really unique experience. Not many people get to run for Congress. Most people probably don't want to. It's very hard, but it was an experience. It was a once in a lifetime experience that no, I don't regret it. And I'm not so sure that I regret losing either. So I've had some personal things with family that have come up that I think it would be really hard for me to fulfill my duties as a daughter. Being in Washington would be very, very difficult. But also I feel like I'm needed in Nashville.
Sally says the kidnapper and murderer has not been caught. So I apologize if I said that incorrectly, Sally. So I suppose they identified the individual, the vehicle and the individual as a result of the vehicle and the tag on the vehicle. So my apologies, Sally, and thank you for correcting me over on the super text line. Y'all correct me when I'm wrong, but don't spend all day doing it because you got jobs to do and whatnot. So along those lines, do you believe that the 5th Congressional District is being well represented right now?
No. If I thought that the 5th Congressional District was being well represented, I wouldn't have run against him last year. That was why I got into government in the first place in 2019, was because my council district was not being represented well. And so, I don't run against people that are doing a good job, in my opinion.
Do you believe that there will be someone, not necessarily in this room, but someone that would step up and challenge Andy in a primary setting next year?
I do. I think there's a lot of frustration, even, certainly in general. But even within the Republican Party, with the lack of representation and the performative nature of what he does and the lack of delivering results for the district, we've got a lot of need here. And the needs in Nashville are very different than the needs in Murray County or Marshall County, or Wilson County. And all of it needs to be attended to, and constituent services are abysmal. And so it's just, I think he's going to be challenged all over the place. And so it's going to be interesting to see. It will not be me.
It will not be you.
Yes, it will not be me.
1972 has written in and says, I feel she is wrong. And by extension, I think you feel I'm wrong too, 1972, which is fine. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. Rampant violent crime above what law enforcement can handle is an emergency. And to that, I would say defined by whom?
Well, and when you look at the people that are being arrested for violent crime, they are repeat offenders. And so it's not that we're not able to get them off the street. It's that we're not able to keep them off the street. And so, yes, does our police department need tools, need more people? Absolutely. But I think there's a big segment that we are failing as well, and that's in that judicial system where, our judges need to hold people to account. Our district attorney needs to prosecute more severely, I think, and their people need to be held to account. That's not happening.
So back to back, and this is why I like having you on, Courtney. Back to back, I got this. I got 6066 writes, she's a Democrat from Louisiana. She should go back. And directly after that, 7142 writes, damn, this woman needs to run for governor. I'd vote for her.
Well, I okay. I'll go visit Louisiana and eat some good food, but I'll be coming back. But okay.
So I think we just referenced this, but 8403 says, ask her about Glenn Funk. Is there anything that we, the people, can do about Glenn Funk outside of begging people that live in Davidson County to vote for someone else?
Yeah, I mean, elections matter, right? And I think I will say that the district attorney's office is overwhelmed. Because I've got friends that are ADAs, and their caseload is insane. And so that doesn't help anything either. So that function of the government is underfunded as well. So that's a challenge, but that could be easily fixed because Nashville is not lacking in funds, I will say. So, yes, applying pressure to your elected officials to do their job and to be more aggressive on holding people to account and making sure that there's law and order, I think is absolutely something that you can do. I think it's an 8-year term, but yeah. So elections matter. Hold your elected officials to account.
Some are saying that I'm missing a candidate in the primary. And so let me just clarify this. Just to be clear, I do think Andy Ogles, I'm all about primarying all of these folks, right? I mean, I think even your good candidates get better if there's a challenge involved. Competition is a good thing. So that's not singling out Andy specifically, but I would say that many have suggested to me that they are considering a run, and I won't name names, but they're considering a run in the 5th Congressional District. I was specifically targeting the primary in that district. So, several of you have mentioned the name Chaz Mulder to me. Chaz Mulder is a Democrat. Chaz Mulder does not have to self-identify as a Democrat when he runs for mayor of Columbia, but he will. I assume, do you not assume as well that Chaz is going to run as a Democrat? I would assume that he is. Do you know him?
I do know him just from my dealings.
I mean, he might not, but I would assume that he is.
He's running on the Democrat ticket for sure.
Yeah, so he would obviously face off whomever the primary victor would be in the Republican Party for the 5th Congressional District in the general election. But yeah, Mulder is a Democrat out there in Columbia. 25 after the hour. Got to take a quick time out. We'll talk about Freddie O'Connell in a moment. Plus, Randy's got a question for Courtney Johnston next. What's going on, y'all? It is 38 minutes after the hour. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Ken Weaver's back in News Closet B. Jay Willie's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. I'm your humble correspondent, your friendly radio host, Matt Murphy. And Courtney Johnston, our lovable liberal from Louisiana, is with us. I'm joking around. Although you're getting a lot of response from some of the commentary regarding the things that we're talking about. For example, I don't know about governor, but Courtney would make the best damn mayor this city's ever had.
Thank you.
That's from 2140. Suzanne writes in and says, my Green Hills friends are so jealous. Courtney is my Metro councilman. Thank you, CJ.
Aw.
And then somebody saying Chaz Mulder's scum. That's nice. Courtney has the smarts to go along with her beauty. She's awesome. Good gracious. You got family members texted in now? Is that what this is? Is this your husband?
Listen, money well spent.
Well, sure. Let's talk about the mayor for a minute before we get to Randy. So Mayor O'Connell, I think I'm quoting him accurately here, says that outside of a brief conversation had regarding the Elon Musk Boring Company tunnel, that there were no specifics offered to the Metro Council. There were no specifics offered to the city of Nashville regarding this tunnel. And I feel like there's documentation demonstrating that that's not true. Am I correct?
Yes. Now, I want to make sure that we separate the council. The council was never brought into this because the mayor's office stiff-armed it.
Okay.
And that's how it works, right? I mean, they're not going to say, oh, the mayor's not interested, let me start reaching out to the council. That would be completely inappropriate. So we did not know anything about it.
Okay.
I was asked if I wanted to meet with them. It was like 3 or 4 days before that press conference that they had. Was incredibly impressed with their what they had to say and what they had to show. The technology is unbelievably cool. But yeah, so the Metro Council did not know, and that's normal. So, but the mayor did know, And with whether you are supportive of the project, have lots of questions about the project, can't stand the project, are fearful of the project, my thing is just don't lie.
Right.
Just don't lie to me. I don't like being lied to.
And so Freddie said, not really involved, a lot of questions, not really any specifics, that, they never had a chance to sit down. And it doesn't feel like that's true. It feels like the Boring Company reached out to the mayor's office, and according to the documents that I've seen, and I think you've seen them, that the mayor's office specifically asked the Boring Company to back off in terms of conversations so they could get their transit tax passed.
Correct.
And
Which they honored.
And the Boring Company did.
They honored
backed
that.
off.
Yes.
Now, the Boring Company, in the between the time that they approached the Metro Council and they went to the state and said, hey, by the way, we're doing this. Can we work together? And, of course, the state began working with them. And by the time they were ready to come back to the city, it's my understanding, the Boring Company went back to the city after the transit tax passed. So Freddie got what he wanted, got his additional taxation to work on bus lines and all of that. By the time they got back to them, apparently the city said what? That they didn't want anything to do with it?
Yes. So at that point, Elon had become much more politically divisive and in that sort of arena. And so they needed to, quote unquote, distance themselves from that. They said they would not be obstructive of the project, but they would not be outwardly supportive. So we're not going to get in your way, but we have to distance ourselves from it politically. And so if that's your stance, then just own it. But don't say that you didn't know anything about it.
Right. And so you're being disingenuous.
Right. And that this whole thing has been, Metro was cut out of it. I mean, that's the bad look that was put upon the Boring Company and the state, was that, the state and the Boring Company are just doing whatever they want to in this county, not involving Metro. But that's not the case. The
Metro area, the Boring Company, at least on 2 occasions, attempted to involve Metro, and Metro declined involvement. They said no, thank you. Went
to Metro first in the spring, whether it was March or April of 24, and said, hey, we're thinking about this. They said, we're not interested.
Got a transit tax to get passed. Yep. We need our money.
Went to the state. State said, we want to play ball. Came back to Metro in July of 24 and said, hey, the state wants to play ball. We'd really love for y'all to be a part of this because it is your county. There's stops that are involved with your right of way. Nope. Transit tax, let's do that first. Please keep it on the down low type deal. But then once that passed in December, those meetings were full on,
and the Metro not the Metro. I keep saying the Metro Council, the Metro government and the mayor's office at that point could have been involved at any stage, but they chose not to be involved because they believed that Elon was too political.
But they were, and they were part of a lot of these meetings. And that's what that memo shows, is that they were part of the conversations. They were part of where the route was going and not going, what stops were going to be created, what stops were not going to be created. So, now the spin is, the mayor wasn't in on these conversations, but people from his staff were.
Well, that's just garbage. That's just someone protecting a lie.
Right.
I mean, that's just awful.
Well, if you tell the truth, you don't have to spin the lie.
I mean, if you're saying, we said the mayor wasn't involved, and what we meant was the mayor himself, of course his staff was. No, you lied on the front end, and you're trying to defend the lie on the back end. That's exactly what you're doing. And I would say this to Freddie if he were sitting here.
Right. I mean, that's exactly. So again, if you just tell the truth, you don't have to spin a lie. So,
like you said, you can think this tunnel deal is just a dumb idea if you want. But what I would say is that it is, and if you believe that it's going to cause some sort of environmental or ecological disaster, then that's one thing. But other than that, it is costing the taxpayers zero. It would cost Metro zero. And Metro involvement would be allow them to utilize the ground beneath your right-of-way. That's it.
Correct.
And the benefit would be going to various places in and around the downtown area controlled by the city. And I understand that they're already discussions with the Music City Center. They obviously have the stop outside of the Capitol where you see some of the boring going on. But there are many other possible branches of these tunnel routes that they could utilize, to include the possibility of going under the Cumberland River to the East Bank and involving itself in that development that's going on right now. And the city's just missing all of that because of politics.
Yeah. And that's what's really sad, is that it's about politics. Because my question would be, if the company was not majority owned by Elon Musk, if it was someone else, would the O'Connell administration have handled this differently?
If it was owned by the Soros people.
Whoever. Pick somebody. To me, this is not a red project or a blue project. It's a green project that stands to have an incredible impact on our transit system. Think about a tunnel going out to the West End area, to the Bellevue area, to Donaldson, the possibilities really are endless. And this is just step one. So we'll see. Again, I've told the boring company, I think this is your test. And if this is successful, then I think we won't have a choice but to expand it.
No, all right. So people are, Sally, let me correct you here. And I'm just trying to, in real time, I'm trying to help people understand how this happened. Because Sally's writing in, and I don't want anyone confused. Sally says, well, now I don't want the damn tunnel because the boring company held off on the tunnel because the mayor wanted his transit tax. No. The boring company went to the city and said, hey, we have this idea. It's going to cost you no money. The city didn't want to enter an agreement with the boring company because they were afraid if everybody heard about this project, which costs no money, that it might impact their transit tax vote. So they said, we don't want anything to do with this. And so the boring company said, fine, we're going to go to the state. And the boring company immediately went to the state and worked out a deal with the state. So I don't think we should be faulting the boring company for the mayor's office decision-making process as to not be a part of the project.
Yeah. Well, and also they took that time to do due diligence. There was 2 other cities that they were looking at investing in. So there was Nashville, I think it was Miami, don't quote me, but it was someplace in Florida, and then I believe Houston is what I want to say. But it was someplace in Florida and someplace in Texas. I don't know. And so they were looking at all 3 cities trying to figure that out. When they 100% decided on Nashville, so they're doing due diligence in all 3 cities, was April, was when they made the decision, hey, of this year, we're pulling the trigger. But we also, there was so much that was going on in that, and conversations were happening with state officials, federal officials, local officials, clearly, during that whole time. What the O'Connell administration had requested was, can you just keep this on the down low before the transit tax is voted on? Because they didn't want anything to take away from that. Well,
and I think people are mad that the boring company agreed to do that. I think that's what my takeaway is. There was nothing
to announce anyway.
Right. They weren't going to announce anything until they got something
together. But they did
together.
Move forward with their process of due diligence of trying to figure out whatever. So I get sort of what they're saying, but to me, when the boring company and the state are being blamed for cutting out Metro and blindsiding us
that's not
with
what
this,
happened.
That's not what happened. And to me, it's the lie. People don't like to be lied to. People don't trust the government. Why? Because the government lies to them.
Well, and I believe that, and I'm not here to defend the boring company. I mean, if your point, Sally, is that the boring company didn't out the mayor's office at that time and say, hey, there's a no-cost alternative to his transit tax, and he don't want to talk about that, and y'all don't vote for it. Well, you just turned a stated neutral party into a party that's against you, and I think that the mayor's office could refuse to enter an agreement with the boring company and be neutral with the state, or they could actively try to screw the state's roll up. And what you don't want to do is screw the entire project up.
Yeah, well, and from what I'm told from the people at the boring company, they want Metro to be involved.
Moment.
Yes, they don't want to be adversarial. And so there was no need to be adversarial and say, well, you're wanting me to keep this quiet or not, make a big deal of it before this transit vote. I'm going to not do that because screw you.
And Sally wants to know, well, why wasn't all of this discussed open? Well, they're not. I mean, Sally, I mean, whatever. I mean, if you want to decide the boring company is a part of the enemy list, I mean, that's fine. That's up to you. What I'm saying is the boring company probably didn't have any position on the transit tax. That's not their job.
No.
I mean, so it's not their role to out the mayor's office for trying to, tilt the scale in the favor of the transit tax. What their role is to get their tunnel built. And so when they got told what they got told from Metro, they moved on to the state with the possibility still open that Metro might be open to more tunneling underneath city-owned property at a future date.
Well, and every project is done behind closed doors. Legislative bodies do not put deals together. We vote on deals, and we may amend deals, and we allocate the dollars for it, but we don't put the deals together. Administrations do that on the local level and the state level.
Well, the bottom line is this, and I think TV has it right. When elected officials put their politics ahead of doing what's right to improve the quality of life of the people who elected them, that is just criminal behavior. And I agree. And your point, Courtney, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, is that the mayor's office is out here acting all magnanimous, like, we didn't know anything about this, and this is not. Yes, they did. They most certainly did. And their lack of involvement in this project was all up to the mayor's office.
Well, he's been quoted as saying politics is everything. It's like, no, it's not. He is abdicating his responsibility for his duty to do what's best for this county because of his thought process on politics.
I mean, right now you have a neighborhood improvement project that is worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $150 million sitting on the table, ready to go, that is going to cost the city of Nashville $0, and politics is getting in the way of that project moving. Well, I'm talking about, of course, the Fairground Speedway.
Oh.
I mean, is that ever going to happen?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because there was a deal close to, I'm told that a deal was close to being finalized to get it back to the Fair Board, to get it back to the council, that would just absolve the city of any financial responsibility for the next 30 years.
Right.
And it would sink up to $150 million into the community. And now there are entities that are ready to stymie that proposal.
Well, right now, the racetrack is costing us millions every year because it is falling apart and it is in disrepair. So we could change an asset to our county from costing us money to making us money. It could be a revenue producer and still honor the history of that racetrack, which is really, really cool and part of the fabric of and the soul of Nashville, if you ask me. And also protect that charter protected use of the fairgrounds.
Well, you know how much I'm in favor of it. I promised I'd get to Randy, and we got like 2 minutes left. Hang in there, Jackson. I'm going to get to that break. Hey, Randy, the time is yours. Go ahead, sir.
Hey, go Tigers. Council lady, would you be in favor of supporting legislation to make things transparent? No more settlements like the one with the superintendent. If their personal agrees against the personal elected official or appointed official, why are we settling those lawsuits?
Yeah, that's a complicated issue. The $6.5 million, which is unbelievable, was actually the better option than the $20 million that we were putting ourselves in liable for if we were to go to trial.
Were the firings justified, in your opinion?
No, I think they were retaliatory. And you can read
by the
depositions.
Superintendent.
Correct. You can read the depositions. You don't settle $6.5 million if you're not
confident that you're about to lose.
Yeah. If you think you're going to lose, yeah. So,
well, what can the council? I don't mean to rush you, but what can the council do about the superintendent then?
The council can do nothing about the superintendent. The school board is the only hiring and firing group that can handle that. I don't have any confidence that they're going to do anything with that. And the reason that the council couldn't do anything about the $6.5 million either is that money came out of the school board's budget, MNPS's budget, not Metro's budget. Now, it's our money, but we've allocated that to them.
So just to be clear, the mayor of the city of Nashville and the 40 elected officials elected to govern the city of Nashville have no control over the Metro school system.
Correct. We are a funding mechanism, and that is it.
Well, cut off the money.
They
I
won't
mean,
get-
I know I'm arguing with the wrong person, but
Well-
just cut off the damn money.
Well, you saw what in my substitute budget where I reduced their increase. It was still a huge increase.
But you reduced it.
and you would have thought there had been blood in the streets.
Yeah, right.
Oh, my God. So they're not going to do it.
Speaking of which, there's going to be blood in the streets if I don't honor Fraction Jackson and go to break. Courtney, thank you.
Absolutely.
There's Courtney Johnston, our good friend from Louisiana. She's our Bayou Bengal from Louisiana on the Metro Council of the City of Nashville. Back in a moment. Hey, friends, Matt Murphy for Cover Nash. Speaking of friends, Shane Ring is my friend, and he wants to be yours. And he can help you find the right insurance plan for you. If you are uncomfortable with your current situation, perhaps you just left a job and you've left your insurance behind. Perhaps you're looking for a better plan for you and your family. Whatever your reason might be, call Shane Ring right now and Cover Nash and allow him to assist. They've got great programs available for you and a variety of different health insurance companies at their fingertips. They don't work for any company. They work for you, their customer. They have a nationwide PPO plan, though, that gives you freedom to choose your doctor anywhere in the United States of America without the headaches. Only a $250 deductible with this plan. Flat copays after the deductible. Outpatient surgery for just a $250 copay. You're hearing me right. Friends, find out more when you contact Shane at Cover Nash. He has the answers that you're looking for with your insurance questions. No hidden fees, no back-end bills, just honest assessment of where you are concerning your insurance. CoverNash.com. That's CoverNash.com or call 615-465-0023. 465-0023.